Welcome, welcome, welcome. Waiting for Instagram to start. Hello, Instagram. Hello, Facebook and YouTube. My name is Justin Harris. I'm an endurance coach, and welcome to my Monday Musings, where I talk about things in the industry with regards to training, the art of training, and things that are driving me nuts with some of my clients. Might be talking about you. Maybe I'm not. Who knows? Uh, uh, but this is my opportunity to connect with all you and get the stuff out of my head and out into the world. Nearly 30 years of racing experience and coaching. I've coached from beginners to Olympians, Olympic medalists, and bobsled, skeleton, and luge. Let's get going. All right. So, the main thing I want to talk about today is marathon and half marathon long runs. And it's springtime, so marathons are getting going. Half marathons been going a little bit, but we got London, we got Boston in a couple weeks, London a week after that. People are gearing up for the race season and whatnot. And I really want to talk about the big long run. All right. So we're going to talk about when to do it, how to do it, and what mistakes that people make going into the long run. Okay. Before we get into that, I have a newsletter. It's called Progression, the Art of Training. I distill science, wisdom, experience, and give you the art of training. So calling out a problem and giving you a different way to look at it and a tangible way to work through it. All right. Um, I send it out twice a month, the 1st and the 15th. It's a 5-minute read. It's free. And you can get it by going to Justin or jharriscoaching.fit. I had jharriscoaching.com and someone stole it. I think Wix or something like that stole it. Anyway, all right. So sign up. All right. Join hundreds of other people. All right. Here we go. So the big long run. All right. The big long run is something that we all need for our mentality, our psyche, our ego, to know that we can go the distance. And this applies for a marathon or a half marathon. And what ends up happening is, where it's put. So if you get a static plan or, something like that, or having an experienced coach, I find that everyone has like a little different style here. All right. And so a lot of people do it 3 weeks out, and it gives you 2 weeks to unload volume. It makes sense. For me, I put it like 5 or 6 weeks away, um, because in my system, all my long runs have a purpose. All right. And I like to do a 16-week plan. So 1 4-week block and then 3 3-week blocks. And it brings us right in. The 4th week and then every 3rd week after that is unloading. So we maybe to give an extra, off day, maybe we come on to, get on the bike or something like that. And the reason why I have it so far away is because when I was originally working at Team Opers and started coaching the marathon more, what ended up happening was I would coach week to week. And so people wanted to know where the big long run was going to happen, because they have to like plan around kids sports, significant others, family plans, whatever. And so I didn't plan ahead because I didn't want people to get whooped up about it. But then I realized there was more anxiety of like, where are we going? What's the plan? So I designed it in a way that it gave us enough wiggle room. So if something pops up, we can move it 1 more week. If we wait till the 3rd week to do it and then we can't get it, we're not doing it 2 weeks out. So I put it a few weeks ahead of schedule, because it also allows us opportunity to really recover from it. All right. Because the big long run, we're out there, a pretty long time. For a half marathon, the big long run can be anywhere from 10 people, 11 miles for some people to 16, right? Like we're just getting more in. For the marathon, I do not go over 20 unless I'm really sure and have a lot of trust in the athlete and vice versa. All right. I think the first 2 times I ran 22 with people over a long period of time, I didn't love it. And we had some injuries. So I had a little superstition with it. But I just find that we don't need it, and I've had so much success with clients doing 20 or less. All right. From people in their 30s all the way up to people in their 50s. Okay. From people who've been running marathons for 20 years off and on to people who it's like their third marathon. All right. So first, where is it? Like I said, I try to do it at more than 3 weeks out. So it gives us more bandwidth to like recover and then get back to the last couple things that we might need to do as we're unloading into the event. The distance for the marathon, like I said, like about 20 miles and under. All right. What do we focus on the long runs? I think is really important. And I want to just say this out loud is the long run, the big long run is not a rehearsal for the race. Okay. So if we're going to run a half marathon and you're going to do 12 or 13 miles, you're not rehearsing the race effort, intensity. You're just getting time on feet. All right. And so I have pretty structured long runs all the way through. The first 4 weeks, I like to alternate a flat long run, flat, relatively flat for you. Okay. Like if you live in Florida, that's easy. But if you live somewhere in different pockets can be really hilly. Like if you get to a T in a road and you turn left and it's flat and a turn right is hilly, you go left. All right. Then I alternated with a hilly long run. All right. So if we get to that T and it's right is the hill, we're going right. All right. The reason why I alternate this is the long run, I have it be a little progressive. All right. Just a little so people can work on being patient and whatnot. And the overall speed is a little bit faster. And then the hilly long run gives us some stamina. It's like I shouldn't say stamina. That's such a cliche word, but like what it essentially is there for is to disrupt the rhythm. On a flat long run, you can get in a rhythm. On a hilly one, you're not. And so you have to like kind of always like be checking down and figuring out where you're going. Often the hilly long run I do is longer than the other ones. And so it could be a double whammy if we're doing longer plus hills are making more intense and then you're trying to hold a certain pace. It just doesn't end up working out, right? And so eventually we get into like specific endurance. And so I'll do some marathon goal pace and whatnot. And all my clients are like the beginning ones, the ones that are first coming in. And I'm trying to do a better job at explaining things so there's a little less friction, but I can't explain everything because I have to coach the person. And it depends. I fucking hate saying the answer, it depends. Anyway, so this rehearsal thing is that we get people who are nervous and they're not really trusting the process. They say it, but they're not really trusting the process. And same thing happens in cycling and same thing happens in the half marathon. It happens everywhere, right? And so they want to rehearse it. They're like, I'm doing aerobic runs and you have me running slow. It's like, I don't have you running slow. I have you running at a pace and effort that you can absorb and build the infrastructure. And just because you ran fast on your own or with a training plan and you did okay, doesn't mean it was the right thing for you. All right. My Garmin green runs or smartwatch green runs. And so the athlete's going along and they're like, I barely ran marathon pace. The thing is, it's why they're not a coach. Okay. Because they're running marathon or half marathon pace in sneaky ways, particularly for the marathon. So when we do a flat long run, last little bit generally gets there without them trying. All right. Then we do progression runs. They get there for a little portion. So if there was like buckets of 5K pace, 10K pace, half marathon pace, like aerobic run, whatever, like it's like Plinko, like it's all getting into filling up all these buckets. And then we do goal pace and they're like, well, I did a 14-mile run and I only ran goal pace for 6 miles of the 14. That's not a marathon. And it's like, yeah, but you're running goal pace from mile, 8 to 12 or 8 to 11 of 14. Like that's going to feel like something, right? And I'm trying to teach my athletes strategy, tactics, how to really fine tune the dimmer switch, all right, of brightness as effort, how to toggle it and have conversations with themselves. Ultimately, when we get to the big long run though, and people are like, okay, like I'm going to run like goal marathon pace. And I'm like, the hell you are? Like, go find another coach. Like, no, that's not what we're doing. We did all that. What I want on the big long run is time on feet. So I'd rather it 15 seconds slower per mile than normal, or whatever it is, just because like you're out there for a while and your body has to experience it. So we go through like the nutrition cycle. So we rehearse nutrition. We can rehearse some gear. I don't really love the shoes, for a big long run, but it's okay. And I'm just like, go slow. And the slower, the better, because what ends up happening, if you're trying to run 4-hour marathon, right, and the 20 miles takes us like 3 hours and 20 minutes, well, that's a 40-minute gap-ish that we need to close from what we've done in training to what we're going to do in the race. And that 40-minute gap gets closed by our total fitness, unloading volume, all right, and all these things going into it. And it's a really hard concept for people to understand. It's like, well, where am I going to get the pace? Well, I've created these like steps of, where people are at. And when pace is your KPI, when pace is your identity, when pace is who you are as a person, the pace, like the pace, the power on the bike, like it's not who you are. That's like, we don't train where we're going to race all the time. Training is not rehearsal. All right. And so a couple of people might be thinking I'm directly calling you out, and I'm not, because I already told you, you folks, that you're not unique. This happens every single year and every single marathon block. And so it's not a bug in the system, but it's a feature of the process of letting go and trusting someone to guide you when it's different than what you're used to. And that's called confirmation bias. And that is my number one job, is to overcome that through education and sometimes put my foot down. So the big long run or the big long ride, you're not rehearsing speed. You're not rehearsing power. You're not rehearsing pace. You're not. You're just out there. If it's on the bike, ass in saddle. Just time in the saddle. Like, be out there. Get used to it. What happens to your wrist? How's your butt? How's your neck? How's your back? I think there was a song about that. My neck, my back. And I'll leave it at that. So it's just about experiencing it and being out there for a while. Like when I trained for Ironman, like my big long run was like, I did, well, one of the hard days, like it was a big day, but on the bike, I did 130 miles. It was like 6 hours, 7 hours, 6 hours like that. And I wasn't trying to do pace. I was just trying to like be nice and smooth. Yeah. Karina, I know you know that song. Hey, I didn't sing the whole song. All right. You guys fill in the gap. But for running, it's just like time on feet. So I'll leave it at that. Be careful what you're putting in your long run. This is what coaches are for, to maneuver this, and I'll maneuver stuff. All right. But I have 2 kind of key long sessions that that allow me to see what's going on. And so like, I think it's 5 weeks out. Yeah, 6 weeks out, I do a marathon goal heart rate run. So effort. And that ends up being the pace roughly that people run, but not always. So when someone races, what I do is I debrief and I go backwards and I look like, okay, this is what they ended up averaging and the conditions were fine, nothing abnormal. Then I go backwards and I look, how many times did they run there? And it's like they spent plenty of time there. And the thing I always come back to is, what did they do in their 20 miler for the marathon? And what did they do in their 12 to 14 miler and a half? And what did they do on the back? And the correlation between what they did in the big long run and what they raced at is like non-existent. It's zero. There's no correlation. None. So stop rehearsing for your big long ride or your big long run for whatever event you're doing. Stop rehearsing the pace, power, or speed. It's not helpful. Just try to be out there longer and experience the ups and downs that come with being out there for a while. Nutrition, how are you going to carry stuff? What works for you? Because, it's totally different. It's totally different. So I wanted to talk about that as people are getting into the race season, as they're starting to get some of the longer efforts and whatnot. Your long ride, your long run, the big one, the one that we're nervous about and excited for at the same time, is not a rehearsal. It's not a rehearsal for pace, power, speed. It is a rehearsal for nutrition. Focus on that. Okay. But all the other training, all my other long runs and long sessions are about, turning up intensity and doing different things and getting my athletes in a position where if their watch died, they forgot their watch or whatever, they can, it's super hot out or whatever it is, they can problem solve. That is the key thing. Racing is just an opportunity to problem solve and see where you're at today. So I'm curious to all you out there, what is your biggest challenge on the big, long effort, the pinnacle, the climax of the training plan? What is things you get tripped up on? How do you approach it? Where have you been? What do you struggle with? I'm curious to what you all think. And if you're watching this later on Instagram or whatever, give me a follow, subscribe on YouTube, find me on Facebook. It's all the same thing. J Harris Coaching. Sign up for the damn newsletter. You know, I think I'm over 400 people, which is pretty crazy. Twice a month. And engage with me. Respond, reply, engage, talk to it. So, how do you approach your long stuff? What's up, Karina? What's up, Pierce? I just rode with Pierce. It got cold on our ride today. What's up, Roberto, Karina, Liz, Claudia, Joanne, Andy, Kimberly, Callan. It's a good group of people. What's up, Nick? What's up, Kelly? The entertainment I didn't know I needed tonight. Yeah, right. What's up, George? We all know that if my watch dies, I'm screwed. No, you're not, Joanne. Joanne's doing Boston this in a couple weeks. We all can give her some positive words of encouragement. No, you'll be fine. You just listen to your body. You're not that far off. I do give you a tough time sometimes, but it's for your own benefit. What's up, Suzanne? Do you go into the long run fatigued or a day or two lighter first? All right, that's a good question. I would say the whole point is to get out of it alive. Okay? Like we want to get out of the, especially on the runs, like the musculoskeletal load is very high. We're out there pounding the ground for a while at like 3 to 5 times body weight, right? So we want to get out of this thing alive. So I really don't go in fatigued, and I don't think, I haven't seen, like some elites do in certain things, but that's like if you've kind of like started stagnating, you've done all the low hanging fruit. And I think for 90% of amateurs, they're so egregiously fatigued all the time that I would stay far away from going into tired. So, I don't back off training I back off training a little bit for it because I don't want to back off a ton and you're super fresh and then, you feel better, but it's putting more load on the body. So it's like, that's the art of it, but it's a great question. What's up, Frankie? Yeah, Joanne, thank you. First Boston, and I'm very nervous, even if it's my 11th marathon. Yeah. So, what's up, Facebook? You guys can comment. I'll see them. Oh, there we are. What's up, Tony? Dude, I'll be thankful just to get to the big training run without an injury. Yes, Tony is one of my athletes, and he's in Australia, and we've had a few snags in the training with shin stuff, but Tony has really done a fantastic job of embracing it. We both had to hit our head against the wall a few times, and pivot from what we were doing because of, it was never like super bad injuries, but we're just rebuilding up, and he's been doing fantastic for a long time. So Tony, way to go, bud. But yeah, we're going to get there. Tony's first race I had 14 weeks when he came on, and we got some shin splints, and then a week going into the 2 weeks before he got pneumonia, something else from his kid. And I was like, dude, I don't think you should run. And it was Sydney, and he's like, dude, it's going to be major. Like, I'm doing it. And he freaking did it. He did it. So yeah, soak it in, enjoy the crowds and the scream tunnel. Yeah. What's up, Debbie? Yeah, the crowd's amazing. It's good, especially like on the hills. I really love the problem solving aspect you talk about, because sometimes you have to pivot to plan B or C or whatever it is, and helpful to practice those things. Yeah. So, um, yeah, it's just problem solving. That's all it is. We put too much pressure on it. This is not whether we get into Harvard or not, or we make the Olympics. Now, I'm not trying to be dismissive of it. Racing creates fear. Like we're like, hey, what if we're not as good as we think we are? What if we can't handle this? But this is why, in my training, I really try to I have the complexity comes from, like different focal points. So when it's slower, we focus on heart rate so people can learn where they're at. When it's faster, we focus on pace. When it's in the middle, tempo and threshold, we use pace, but we're bringing in heart rate into it so that we can calibrate to where we're at. And the thing is maybe it's a compliment, but I hate seeing it is, I've had enough athletes now that we have success for a year to 3 years. And then they're like, I'm ready to do this on my own. And I'm like, okay, I gotta let the doves fly, And unfortunately, I've seen too many injuries or burnouts because the number one thing is aerobic runs. People hate having the reins pulled back on them. And so that's the first thing that they start going faster in. And then I've seen stress fractures, tendonitis, burnouts. It's tough to see. So it's the little thing. Yeah, but Tony's rocking. All right. Not about long runs, but what's the benefit of adding strides to the end of an easy run? So the benefit of strides is to work on kind of neuromuscular coordination is really what it's for. You're not really getting a big stimulus. And so Karina, I don't really have strides in any of my runs because I'm getting intensity other places. We get on the bike, which it's a little bit safer. And this is why I do speed play so often. But sometimes I bring it in with some clients after a while just to kind of mix things up. Um, but yeah, so the the benefit is to get the legs to turn over, to work on technique, form, and it's to kind of rev the engine a little bit, right? But they're not to be like exhaustive. Like we would like sprint, like 95% effort, like not all out. And then we'd like shoot the shit for like 30 seconds, sometimes a minute, 2 minutes. And then my coach would be like, hey, come on, let's go. Like don't get too cold. 2 to 4 of them works. But that's the benefit of them. However, I tackle it in a little different way. So, Claudia, I'm excited to embrace the long runs with the freshness. Yeah, yeah. It's better to be a little on the fresher side. And again, it depends what the key thing is. So we have VO2 max, threshold, which is tempo or threshold, steady state or threshold. We have aerobic runs. We have long run. We have weekly volume. We got mobility and strength and nutrition. Those are like 7 things that are kind of like in sleep, right? But as the priorities for training, if we go, it depends on what the race is. So 5K, the highest priority is VO2 max, then threshold, then long run and weekly volume are down low, strength's probably in there, mobility, something like that. But if we flip it to the 5 or for the marathon, long run and weekly volume are very close to each other, very important. Then threshold, then a gap, VO2 max, then strength. And yes, strength's important, but we don't have a lot of time. So it depends what the priorities are. And so if it's 5K, I want people a little fresher going into the VO2 max. If it's marathon, I want people not super fresh, but fine. Suzanne, Marathon Graham, did 16 today with 10 miles at marathon pace, trying Training plan is for 20 this week. I'm trying to decide if I should taper or crank it out. You should not. All right. When I hear crank it out, it's like, go for it. It's 23 weeks away. It's okay. I would just relax into it. I would not force it. Have you done 20 yet, Suzanne? What's up, Kyle? When do you know you can increase the overall pace with your athletes? That's a good question. Essentially, when they race faster. That's real indicator. When they race faster, that tells me that they are actually faster. Now, if people aren't racing that often and you're racing often enough, when they don't race, sometimes it's like I'm looking at heart rates and the next place is threshold. When we're running threshold, like where's the heart rate at? And then I can kind of fine tune around there. But when, say you PR in a marathon or you PR in a half marathon, like we need to recover 2 weeks super boost for both. And then another 2 weeks of easing back into things for the marathon. So 4 weeks. I don't change the pace rep because it would be a double whammy. I'm trying to recover and then we up the paces. Nope, not happening. We get back into training. I might not move the pace until 8 weeks, 10 weeks away, 2 months, 3 months. And then we get into those new paces. So yeah, let the races dictate. Or threshold. Not aerobic runs. It's the worst indicator. During training, I threshold. What's going on with threshold? What pace are we running? And what the heart rate's at. That's how I do it. What's up, Justin? 20 mile 2 weeks ago. Context really matters, Suzanne, sorry. That's helpful. I don't want to dictate too much. I'm not your coach. And I think it's the easy thing to do to show I know what I'm doing. But I would say no more than 20. And I'd be okay with 18. You already got one in the bag. The key thing is to get to race day feeling frisky and not banged up. We're feeling frisky, and then you have good strategy and tactics. You're ready to go. But a lot of people get there pretty dang tired or feeling flat or carrying some kind of mini injury. I got a nice little dry Riesling, which love it. Domaine Lesueur on Cuca Lake. I had my most favorite things this evening. Group rides are back. Yeah. In action. Love it. And I had 2 slices of pizza and a glass of wine. Chef's kiss. All right. Doing different. What's up, Jessica? Yeah. Yeah, Claudia. Claudia's heard this enough. We'd rather be a mile short than an inch over. So how do you feel? Are you exhausted? Are you grumpy? Are you cranky? Are you rickety? Like, oh, getting out of bed like tin can. Like, if those are the cases, you should, less is more. Doesn't mean you back off everywhere. And so this is the art of, like I say, of like Dr. Dre at the producer board, or, Thomas Keller or someone like at the chef, like, what do we put in, right? Or Jiro Dreams of Shusi Jiro, like how much, wasabi paste we put on, and, that's the art of it. And so it's not about turning everything down. It's mostly turn volume down and keep intensity where it's at. Oh, it's Kristen, baby, my wifey. So yeah. So talk to me about the big long runs. Or big long rides? How do we approach them? What did you learn from my discussion about them? What do you struggle with? What are you battling inside the head with the long runs? What have you learned over time the hard way or read? Claudia, I just think with the 20, it's a one and done. It's an injury zone. Yeah. Again, it depends on volume. I mean, I've had a client who's 50 years old, and she topped off at 70 miles a week and averaged probably 55 plus. We ran 22 that time, but that was like our third marathon together, and we've been working together for like 3 years. So I knew she could handle it, and I don't know. I think we did a couple 18s, a 20 and a 22, something like that. But if your weekly volume is 35, 20 is such a massive, it's too much. It's a too high of a percentage of the weekly volume, and that's not sustainable. I mean, that's like the number one place for injury when athletes don't have a coach or they have inexperienced coaches is the acute volume changes, like the TSS score, the intensity factor, like boom, slams up. That's the biggest recipe for disaster. Now, as a coach, I understand that. I'll break the rule sometimes, but that's why I'll use the bike or different things. What's up, Jennifer? I struggle to keep long runs easy. I feel good and run it faster than I should. So set a limit. I'm sure you don't run with a sundial. You got that GPS watch on your wrist. Now it's not, with GPS, it's fucking really accurate. So just set a limit. For long runs, you should not really be running much marathon pace. So set a pace limit or set a heart rate limit. You can look back at your past marathons. Where did you average for the heart rate? Then you should be a few BPM under that. Now, if it's warm out, whatever, but you don't want to run marathon effort for your big long runs. And so with technology today, you could struggle with it, but try to solve it. Try to solve the problem. And mostly it's mentally. Just chill the fuck out. I don't know you, Suzanne, but I say this all my life, just let it go. Let it go. It's not a representation of how you're going to race. It's not correlated to what you do in slower long runs to what you do in the race day. Because what you cannot perceive is what's the infrastructure you're building at zone 1 and zone 2. You cannot feel it. You don't sense it. It feels like nothing. Tell me some other example in the world where things are built without perception. It happens all the time. I just can't think of a good example. I got to come up with a good example. It's like learning a language. Like you just keep practicing, you just keep doing it. It's hard at first, but then you just let go. And honestly, like when I was learning Spanish, I learned Spanish in 4th grade, then 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. Like I took it all the time. I suck at it. I suck at languages. And I took it 2 years in college, and then I studied abroad in Spain. And I don't know, maybe it's like the Italian, something olive complex a little bit, but people thought I was Spanish at night. Because give me like 3 beers, I don't give a shit. In my 20s, I would try to say anything, and people thought I was Spanish. It's like, nope. Soy Americano, Estados Unidos. Anyway, Karina, I like long runs because I get to eat a lot. Yes, during and after. Faux show. That's why I love long bike rides. Like, I love like just getting lost and going far, and then like stopping somewhere, having a slice of pizza or something, and like or a giant cookie or whatever it is. Like, I'm so happy that like gummy bears and shit are like in style. Like my thing is like when I was in heavy training, and I didn't really like try to lose any weight ever. Like it was not a thing I had to worry about, and I would just eat. And my favorite thing is like 40 miles away. If I'm 40 miles away and I can have a slice of pizza, a can of Coke, and a Snickers bar, rock star. What's up, Carly? Walking during long training runs, is that cheating yourself? No. No, it depends on what your like pace is. If you're a walk jogger, it's definitely not cheating. I would say if what's up, Adam? I would say if you're walking because you went too hard, I would say kudos for slowing it down. And then I would say, why'd you get yourself into that pickle to begin with? I just like, is tonight Munchies night? Yeah, I ate some edibles and no, I'm kidding. No, maybe it's post bike ride, group ride. No, uh, so Jennifer, no, it's not cheating, but all context. So you can add more context and I can answer it a little bit more thoughtfully if you want. So yeah, I get way nervous before a long race pace effort than I do before 1820, where it's just for time and feet. I actually find this very therapeutic. Yeah. Yeah. And that's like people are like, oh, can I hit those paces? What's my heart rate going to be at those paces when we'll go 2 miles, 2 miles goal, like regular aerobic run, and then like 3 miles goal rate pace. So that oscillating into it, you feel that pressure, and then you oscillate back out of it. You feel like, oh, how many notches do I have to bring down? And then you run the aerobic, and then you get back into it, oscillate. So some people like continuous. I like bringing people in and out because I find that you can kind of understand how much to get on the gas pedal for it. Oh my God, I would be shit my brain after that. Yeah. Yeah. I got a pretty well, certain things I got a good stomach for, and certain things I don't. I agree, Elgato. Threshold keeps me up at night. Yeah, we're working on that, you two. Let's just say you two are both get it in overdrive and go. Just hum along, cruise control. You guys are really good, both good with that. Yeah, so what we're talking about tonight is where the big long run is in the plan. I don't do it 3 weeks out. I do it a little bit sooner so we got some wiggle room. We don't stuff it in. I don't like going above 20 for marathons unless you're really proven. And just because you did it before does not mean you're proven that it's the right dosage. And it's not rehearsing for the race. So get away from pace. Like that. Might keep that. So Carly, nah, not for workouts, but I can never sleep before a race. Yeah. Yeah, good thing that like the night before sleep, statistically, research shows it doesn't really influence your race, but 2, 3, 4 nights out does. How many miles the weekend before the marathon and why? Depends on the athlete. I forgot what I have for you, but like we don't want to cut too much, right? So most people get like 3 weeks out and then they just really start cutting volume, and so the week of it's 3 weeks, and I call it prediction addiction. So the cortex is a prediction machine. So you have 10, and Adam can correct me, who's a neurosurgeon here, but I remember reading that you have 10x the sensory neurons that come into the cortex, like into the brain up. So like proprioception, tactile, taste, vision, like all these things are coming in. So massive streams of information in, and the cortex through the layers is kind of like coming down each layer, like sending predictions down, and they match up or, match up with the information that's coming in. So this is why when we miss a stair step, like we don't realize we missed it when we hit our face on the ground. We miss it the millisecond because the brain is checking down and saying we expect to step here, and the information, and so it reduces lag in decision making and whatnot. Which the prediction thing is pretty crazy because I'll give a story. Remind me of it. It has to do with the elevated train in Chicago, New York. So, or Chicago, one of those. So your brain predicts that it's going to get this training, and then it doesn't. And so it's like, yeah, we're still training, right? And then you're like, no, we're backing off. And it's like, okay, so next day it's like, we're still training, right? Like we got a race coming. And you're like, no, we're like cutting back even more. So eventually it's just like, okay, I predict we're not going to do too much. And then boom, 26 miles or 100-mile Grand Fondo or half Ironman or whatever, half marathon. And it's like, whoa, we were not ready for that. And the addiction, and so this is why instead of just coming down, I start coming down, and then I hit you the weekend before, and then we come back down to keep you a little fresh. The addiction part is your body gets and brain, everything gets your brain gets addicted to the neurotransmitter and hormone release: testosterone, human growth hormone, norepinephrine, epinephrine, dopamine, serotonin, right? So it wants that hit. It wants the 8-mile run that we've had every Tuesday or whatever, and then we give it like 4, and it's like, yo, that's like, it's not enough, man. Like, can we sell some DVDs? Get some more? Get some money for more budget, training budget? It's not happening. So we want to keep the brain on its toes. But yeah, so we don't want to cut back too much, but we do need to really make sure we're letting go of the sponge as well. So it's less with the volume and it's more the density of the training. But yeah, for a long weekend, long run is somewhere between 9 for some people to 14 for some others, 13, something like that. Yeah, 14. Yeah, there we go. So, yep. Man, I even know my own training. Crazy. I really like, I write the stuff I think deeply about, what precedes something and what comes after. And once it's on there, I use some space in my brain for other things. Like, I think I finally have forgotten my childhood phone numbers. But let's talk about the prediction thing. So I read this book called On Intelligence, a software programmer talking about, computer vision, detecting things, like all these things, all these systems. I wish I could hear. I got to find him and see what he's talking about with AI now. It's pretty crazy. What's up, Robin? But essentially, it was a phenomenal book. Phenomenal. Like the books I read and the papers and projects I did when I was doing cognitive science stuff was just, it was like the bee's knees for me. It was like so amazing. But I remember reading an example that elevated train stopped running, and they told everyone it's going to stop running. I think it was Chicago or New York or whatever it is. Doesn't matter. But essentially, the first night it was not running, they got dozens of calls that people heard this loud bang and it woke them up out of their sleep. And so the police come out, they check it out. There's nothing there, right? The train's not running. And so what they found was that the people were calling like 5 minutes after the train would normally come through the station or go past their house, meaning their brain expected that noise, and when it didn't have it, it alerted them and woke them up out of their sleep because it was sending this prediction down and it wasn't matched with the train. And so although they felt like they heard a noise that woke them up, it was really their brain waking them up because it predicted to hear that sound at the same time every night. And the absence of the noise was something else. What's up, Judith? For those just jumping on, we're at the Q&A part. I usually start with some topic. Today's topic was about the big, long effort of a training plan. So big, long run for the marathon, big, long run for a half, big, long ride for a bike race, and how to structure them in. But the biggest thing is your big, long effort is not a rehearsal for the pace or speed or power that you're going to do in the race. It's just about time on feet, time in the saddle. What's up, Austin? So if you have any questions about anything training related, curiosities about me, my coaching, my athletic background, career, tidbits, shoot away. I'll hang out for another like 10 minutes or so. There's a bunch of you still on here. And if you're on Facebook and you're watching, put a comment in. Say hello. Curious. And for those here, subscribe to my YouTube. I'm eventually going to just shift there, probably. Not yet, though. Comes away a little bit cleaner. So I'm curious to what races we have coming up. If you're joining me and drinking a glass of wine, if you're drinking anything, what you drinking? Drinking a dry Riesling from the Finger Lakes. Hi, Facebook. Hello. Who's there? Yeah, too many people. Like, again, time and time again, when I look back at what people end up running, especially when they're running successfully and PRing, go backwards and look at the big long run, and it's never even close. It's not correlated at all for the performance standpoints, but it's a necessary piece to get our brain to wrap around the idea that we're going to be out there for a fucking long time. Jennifer, I tend to get unseasonably marathons. Yeah. Is there a way to prep for this living in the Northeast, training through winter months? Yeah. I'm curious what state you live in, because I live in New York, and it was a tough, in the Northeast it was a harder winter. And unseasonably warm. I gotcha. I'm following you. What races did you do that were unseasonably warm? Because Berlin last year was brutal at 80 degrees. Yeah, Massachusetts. Yeah. I have family in Agawam, Springfield, Holyoke area. So shout out to Western Mass. So you can prepare for warmer races in the cold. And essentially, Boston 24, yeah, that was warm. You literally hit the quadruple. Like, those are some of the. And did you happen to do New York 2022? Because that one was, or 23, that one was really hot. Yeah. Yeah. You can go live with Adam and Carly down in St. Pete, Florida, or my clients in Miami or Fort Lauderdale or West Palm. So, it's brutal. I mean, even with AC. Yeah. So you hit, New York City 23. That's what I left my house at 5:30 in the morning in shorts and a tank top, and I was totally fine. So if you look out and people are in like shorts and t-shirts cheering, it is not a good marathon performance day. However, okay, so what can you do to help with that? New York City. Did you do New York City? Don't tell me you did New York City 23 as well, Jennifer. I'm curious. I'm not laughing at you. I'm just like, poor lady. Oh my God. Jennifer, tell me what races you're signing up for, and I'm not going to do any of those races, because you just named all the hottest marathons in my recent memory in the past 5-6 years. So, all right. Yeah, you better start prepping. All right. So, what races do you have this year? I'm curious, because I want to give you good advice. Can you warn me of the races? Not cold. Yeah, Joanne. So runner cat lover is Joanne. She's from Quebec and she's done with winter. So, she lives in Connecticut and she gives all the warm races. My Canadian people, I think it's just you're in the cold all the time, so you want warm. Because I have a lady in Toronto and she says the same thing. Yeah. So, Jennifer, I'm curious what race you're doing, because I'm going to avoid those this year. But basically, it's heat exposure. Okay. And so there's different ways that you can do it. I have Boston Tough Ruck in 2 weeks. All right. New York City 26. Okay. All right. Yeah. Rucking in the heat is brutal because chafing and all that stuff. So, anyway, back to my solution here. So the first things first is just heat exposure, right? And so if it's cold out, you're overdressing a little bit. Now, when you're running outside, if you're so do you train outside or do you train inside during the winter? So if it's cold out, where are you at? Because if you're outside, you really don't want to dress up too much because then you start sweating and then you get cold, depending on how long you're out there. But if you're training inside, then you can wear clothes, like more clothing than normal. The thing is you start simple. Okay, so you're running both. So I would just like run outside to run outside, but make sure you're warm enough. All right. When you go inside, and if you have access to a sauna, that's the easiest place. Start light, 5 minutes. Not everyone is good with the heat, but you work your way up in 5 minute intervals over weeks, right? Ultimately, they say, it depends on the temp, but like if you can be in there 10 to 20 minutes and not suffering, because I get to sometimes where I'm a little dehydrated. I work out a little lightly and I go in and I'm talking to someone, having a good conversation. I don't want to leave. And then I like get out and I'm like really lightheaded. So stay away from that. In the sauna right now. Okay. Yeah. So just consistent sauna exposure will, I mean, it's good for your health, and phage, like the cells eat the dead cells, cleans them up. I think they said like one 40-minute bout a week, like reduced the likelihood of cancer by like 40% or something crazy. So anyway, yeah, just spending time in there and your body will be better on there. Yeah, not medical advice, says the doctor. Yeah, don't listen. Autophagia. Yeah, yeah, there we go. Yeah. So thanks, Judith. Um, Autophagia. Yeah, that's it. Okay. I watched the movie with Ryan Gosling, Project Hail Mary, and they were talking about astrocytes, and then I thought astrocytes are in the brain, blah blah blah, and now I think astrophage, but astrophages is from Hail Mary. Yes, that's it. Astrophages. Yes. Okay. Anyway, let me get back on topic here. So heat exposure, consistent. You don't need to do it every day, but know that it's like wipes you out, right? So like don't try to run paces, like pay attention to your heart rate, like just everything's slower. So just spend time, just think of time under tension, time under heat. That's the biggest thing. Now, you can find research papers. I'm sure you can ask ChatGPT. I don't have any set protocols, but just I try to expose myself. And since I used to get really bad headaches. I lived in Hawaii for a year, and anytime in the summer I train, I lose a lot of sweat. I lose a lot of salt and electrolytes. I get this headache, and there's nothing I can do. And I started going in the sauna, and now it's like a hot day. I'm okay. It also has to do with like I really add a lot more nutrition. So calories, like 400 plus calories an hour, making sure I'm drinking enough and those big things. And I can get done with, I've done 120, 150-mile rides, 6-7 hours, and I get home and I'm like tired, but like I don't have that pounding headache. So be careful with that stuff, but just microdose it in. All right. Then the other thing is just like run on your treadmill, but with a stocking hat, and then a stocking hat and a long sleeve, and then a stocking hat, long sleeve and tight. So you just have to chip away at it and not all at once. They have found that the better shape you're in, that's the other thing, the quicker you acclimate to heat and the better you can tolerate heat when you're racing. Because there was this guy, Pete Jacobs, something like that, Australian dude. And he won Kona Ironman World Championships in Kona. And in October, they're like heading into their winter. Instead of coming to Hawaii and doing these big training camps away from home and acclimating the heat and the humidity, he just wore some extra layers and he made sure he's in really good shape and he handled it fine. So increase your fitness by making sure you're not really tired all the time. So if you're overtraining, you're not going to handle heat well. The other thing is if you've gotten heat stroke before, you're more likely to be sensitive to heat moving forward. And so we want to really stay away from that. And if you've already done that, just be very cautious. Exposure in the sauna and then wearing some extra layers when you're training. And that's the best you can do. Okay. And everyone out there is suffering. So, yeah. Austin, hopefully I answered that question. Have a 10K coming up in 2 weeks, hoping to break sub 1 hour. My current record is 1 hour, 3 minutes, so I'm close. I've only done a handful of 10K, so trying to think of the best pacing strategy. So what I would do is I would set up to run 103 at least through 5K. Like really like run 103 place to 5K. Now, if it's the same course, same temperature, those things matter. Okay. So if it's flatter, stay at the same, like just run 103 pace and then start picking it up slowly from there to see where you're at. And that's a way to ensure that you PR and you get closer. If you just go for like 59:45 and your training hasn't really supported that, you're basically setting yourself up on a suicide mission to go for PR. So do where your fitness is at and what you've raced before for the first half, and then progress off that and just get on the gas pedal slowly and have a big kick. Astro face. Thanks, hon. Don't you shift pace by like 30%? So for severe heat, humidity during race training or races? Yeah. 30% would be high. I have a heat pace calculator on my website that I need to kind of update, but it comes from one piece of research that basically when the outside temp and the outside dew point in Fahrenheit is over 100, it's starting to influence in your pace. So if you're trying to run 10 minutes pace and it's cold out, it's 50 degrees and 45 humidity, like that's all you. But if it's 90, say it's 75 degrees out and 50% humidity, that's 120. And so something like that is like 4% slower, and if you, meaning like to run what feels like 10 minutes, you have to go 4% slower. And so say it's like 10:20, something like that, 10:16. Wait, 4%, 10 of 4. It's not base 10, so I don't know. But it's something like 10:16. If you ran 10:16 in that heat and humidity, it would be like running 10 flat when it's cold out. And so you can go on my website on the hamburger menu. There's a training pace adjusted calculator. You can do it in Celsius or Fahrenheit. You can do pace and power. What's up, Christy? What's up, Ryan? We're doing a little Q&A right now, race stuff, questions. Talked about the big long runs, when to do them, how to approach them. You guys can watch the Instagram tomorrow and catch the first part of it. But curious to what you guys are thinking. Worldwide wine tastings. Yes, that's my kind of person. A little Domaine Lesueur from the Finger Lakes. A little dry Riesling. Cool. All right, I'm going to hang out for like 5 more minutes. Whatever questions you have pop up, curiosities about me, my coaching, your training, your racing, things you're excited about. Appreciate you all engaging. We got a good crew. Good crew. Good group of folks. Yeah. I tried to set up. So my friend has a winery, and maybe we'll go there, or maybe I'll bring a bottle. It was a really nice spot, but they leased the place and they bought their own land, and they're building everything. So it should be set for next year. But we did this. And so I try to like bake in the price for this, like, like dinner the first year I did it. And they paired wines with local Hudson Valley ingredients, and this chef who sous chefed at Noma for 6 months. And it was the best thing. I'm like, can we do this with like my camp people? And we'll have like this beautiful dinner. And so that's what I'm really trying to do with these camps eventually. So we'll have some good food. We'll have a glass of wine somewhere. There's some good stuff. But yeah, maybe I'll get some. But yeah, we'll get some stuff. Suzanne, what races are on your schedule this year? I don't have any races this year. I didn't do any races last year. I did one race last year. I've raced so much, and I'm gonna be honest. Like 2 years ago, I did triathlon. And I just like it was like I did them the past couple years, and I just like did not enjoy it. Like not even like expectations. Like I'm okay with that. I just like don't really want to do the running to be successful at it and like feel good. I run once a week, sometimes twice a week. I'm more into cycling. I've always been, and honestly, rebalancing my portfolio to add more like strength and Pilates and different stuff. It's different movement things. So yeah, I'm not. I'm gonna see how the early season goes if I pop into a race. We have a team whoppers like for team whoppers like one-on-one clients. We're um, actually I don't know if it's exclusive to one-on-one clients, but we're doing like a weekend in New York City in June, and it happens to be the same weekend of the race that I would want to do. So nothing on my calendar. And you know what? Last year, early on, I felt weird about that. Like, oh, training, I should race. And I just like really enjoy like going out on a Saturday when my wife's a nurse and she works every other weekend. And so I have Saturday like totally to myself. It's the one day I don't talk to any clients. It's my one day off. And most of the time I do training plans on that day. So I do work a little bit, but when it's nice out, I'll just leave the house at like 8 in the morning and I'll go ride. I'll be out of 6, 7 hours at the house for like, and I'll like stop. And I've just like really enjoyed those things. So Jennifer, cross training, if you have a plantar fasciitis or arch someplace, is cross training on the bike okay to sub how they run with a 3-to-1 mile replacement? Yeah, if I mean, it's not great to run on, tendonitis. You can tendons get low blood flow, and therefore they take longer to heal. So if you set it back, it's not helpful at all. So yeah, for the bike, yeah, if it's aerobic, it's definitely 2-to-1. You could do 3-to-1. So a half-hour run and a 90-minute bike. That's about it for aerobic. Yeah. So you don't have to be strict to that. That's okay. But yeah, just ride. Yeah, just ride. It's not exactly the same, but it's close enough. So we have musculoskeletal load as one pillar that we can load. We have metabolic load, so what's happening at a cellular level, physiological level, and then we have mental load. And if musculoskeletal load is like beating you up, which you did a lot of marathons, ma'am, and that's probably why you're getting into this place. You got to back off the marathons at some point. And it looks like you're creating some space. And I'm not judging. I guess I'm judging it, like not trying to judge it, but like I see this happen all the time. Tendon issues when it's marathon. Essentially, you train for marathons for 2 years. So this is going to happen. So yeah. So but we still want the metabolic load, right? So if we shift the musculoskeletal load of like reducing it by getting on the bike, we can still do the metabolic load. And I would say if it's really bad and you're biking, I used to bike every summer for cross country training in high school and college. I'd run a little bit, but long story short is it takes a month to take bike fitness and convert it into run fitness. So yeah, absolutely okay to cross train. Elliptical would be good too if you have access to that, to get some of the, ellipse movement, like a little bit running. It does feel strange, but for me, it's like running is like the least impact, it's like the least impact. It's tough on the quads. It can be, but it's far away. Then I like to transition, like have moments where we're doing the elliptical for people who can get access to it, because it feels like we're running a little bit, not really with the effort, but the coordination of it, and then running. And so when you can bike in elliptical, it helps you transition better. Yeah, acupuncture will work. Yeah, for most people. Yeah, good. I'm glad you're feeling good now. Space those marathons out. It's hard if you're getting into them. They're hard to get into. I understand. Not complaining. I just dealt with some clients like, oh, I think I'm going to take a break after 4th marathon in 6 months, a year. I'm like, yeah, it's hard training for a marathon. As an adult who has, work, family, if you have kids, yeah. Cool. Well, listen, everyone. We've been on here for over an hour. I appreciate you all. Thanks for engaging. If you haven't yet, go into my www.jharriscoaching.fit, or you can go into my bio and find it on Instagram. I have a newsletter called Progression, the Art of Training. Free. It's free. Twice a month, 5-minute reads, 1st and 15th. Talk about some problem people are running into that's timely at this time of the year. Try to help you reframe it. Sometimes it's tough love, and then how to kind of like work your way through it. Okay, so sign up for it if you haven't. But appreciate you all. We'll see you next Monday. And don't hesitate to comment. If you thought of something, comment. I'll answer it. We'll go from there. I appreciate you, Jennifer. You're great. I love talking to people, and I love, even though it's a small group of people, I appreciate it. So appreciate you all. Thanks for spending the time. Later, Austin. Later, Suzanne. We appreciate all you. Okay. And I'll just put a little plug in. I do have training camps this year. There's a first week of May. Not the last week in August, but second to last week. They're running focused. I have a couple bike ones. They're not cheap, but you get a lot for your money. Meaning, you can train in one of the most beautiful places, I think, for training in New Paltz, New York. The testimonials have been like fantastic. It's mostly my clients. I keep them super small, like 1 to 4 people. It's like pretty intimate, and we just chill, have a good time, eat some good food, and really connect. And that's what it's about. Oh, Suzanne, that would be great. I already have 2 signed up. I might cut it at 4. I got a third who's interested. Not trying to rush you. I can have a little bit more, but I like to have a carload of people to get, I think it just feels good. So we'll see. But that one's going to be a little bit more focused on the long run for marathon. If you're doing Berlin or Chicago or New York, it's a little far out from New York, but I make it to you. It's full ability. I got walk joggers to people who are running the whole way. It's not about like running with everyone. It's about being with each other and being out in time. And I ride my bike between people and just like cruise around. I hold your water bottles, feed you, check in with you, give you a little tips, what's going on, and then answer questions. And it's just more getting to know people, which I really love. So I'll check my work schedule. Yeah, check it. And then let me know. All right, people. Appreciate you. Later. Bye.